The tank is on. Suck hard for Bedard. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Call me. Let's talk about it. Maybe you've seen the light. Let's go. Connor Bedard. It's now time for You Called.
You Called. Presented by Playground.
Playground, your premier gaming destination located just over the Mercier Bridge. Only minutes from downtown Montreal. And Yellow and Sammy are at master control. Let's get the number out there right now. It's 1-888-585-SICK. 1-888-585-7425. It's a toll-free number. You give us a call. Agnello will answer the phone, or maybe Juliana. It's a family affair going on over there. The Cavalleros, they all work on the podcast. It's a beautiful thing. And they're going to patch you through to me, and let's go. Away para la. Let's go. Let's go. Let's talk. Let's see here. Let's go. Who wants to talk to me? Let's talk to me. What do you want to talk about? Are you all in on the rebuild now? Are you all in? Hey, by the way, before we get to your calls, you know that you can join the Sick Army for exclusive emojis. This is something that Sammy and Agnello talked to me about today, and Juliana as well. Is this a joke? That emoji. Emoji 2 now. That emoji. I'm Marinaro. That emoji. Or double shift your best players. So to get that, all you'd have to do is basically type the words that are there, like, is this a joke? Would be : sick joke, : and you can get that emoji come up on YouTube Live. And it's a badge during all our live shows. There's a monthly fee. It's $2.99 per month for the emojis. The link is in the show description. And I want to let you know that all the proceeds are going to charity. All right? We're trying to find a way to have fun, and we're trying to find a way so that money can go to charity, and it could put a smile on people's face, or it can make a difference in someone's life. So the money's not going to us. It's going to charity. All right? So we can have fun with that. We can really, really have fun with that. Agnello and Sammy, open up the lines. 1-888-585-SICK, 1-888-585-7425. Jerry in Longueuil. Jerry, comment ça va, mon chum?
Salut, mon Tony. Bonne année à toi.
Hey, bonne année à toi aussi, mon Jerry. Bonne année à toi, mon
I hope the holidays were good, Christmas and stuff. And the last time I called, I found out it was your birthday after, and I didn't know. So
yeah,
birthday late.
Well, thank you very much. I turned 50 on November the 23rd, but my wife surprised me with a 50th birthday party a couple of weeks ago tomorrow. So it was back on Friday, December 16th. She surprised me with a 50th birthday party, and which was kind of cool. It really was nice to see family and friends, and she's a dear for doing that. And mind you, the next couple of days after were not great because I got COVID.
Oh no!
Yeah. I had COVID for the very first time. It's funny because my wife and the kids got it. I think probably about 6 or 7 months ago, give or take, maybe more. And at the time, all three of them got it, and I didn't. Actually, probably over a year ago. And all three of them got it, and I didn't. And this time, I got it, and they didn't. And so I watched the World Cup final in bed. And, it was kind of cool in a way because it wasn't cool going through COVID. But I actually tested negative on Christmas Eve at 5:30 p.m. Okay. So I was able to enjoy my Christmas at least. No complaints.
Did you get it bad, or was it just?
Look, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't easy either. There were a couple of days that were really, really rough. Throat was burning, like on fire, all beat up. Shivers, shaking, all that stuff. Body felt like it got hit by a truck, but there's people in a lot worse off, Jerry. So I count my blessings. And for those who aren't doing too well, I'm thinking of you, and I wish you all the courage in the world. So, I'm not going to complain with what I'm not going to complain with what I had, because there's people that have a lot bigger problems than that, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Knock on wood, I haven't got it yet. Didn't get it yet, so.
Well, I hope you don't. What's on your mind, mon Jerry?
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Tony, about the rebuild and the tanking. I'm on your side, as you know, and sometimes I call on the French side. They give me a hard time because there are a lot of former coaches, or they believe in winning right away, and every game you should play to win, which I agree with. But it's not, to me, it's not the tanking. When you say tanking, that you want to necessarily lose. To me, it's I want to win the cup.
Of course.
To me, to me, winning the cup is not necessarily playing Hoffman and Drouin and Dadonov, but giving the opportunities to the kids. Yes, tonight was difficult. They lost 7-2, but that's how you learn. I'd rather they make their mistakes now than in 2 years when we bring them up, and then they're still going to make mistakes even if we send them down 2 years. And the thing, people started dumping on the young guys. Oh, we got to go get veterans and stuff. But we've been doing that for 25 years, and it really hasn't worked very well.
No, it hasn't worked. It's Jerry, I really believe, and yes, there's been some exceptions. The Boston Bruins did some amazing things to win the Stanley Cup and actually go to 2 Stanley Cup finals on top of winning the cup. So they went to the final 3 times, okay? They did some amazing things, all right? I'm going to try and think about it here off the top of my head, but they drafted Patrice Bergeron, I think, 45th. I believe they drafted Brad Marchand like 72nd. I believe they drafted Milan Lucic like 50th. I believe they drafted David Pastrnak like 25th. By the way, I could be off 1 or 2 in what I'm talking about, okay? So, and then they went out and they signed Zdeno Chara as an unrestricted free agent. They gave him $7.5 million, I believe, on a 5-year deal. And they went out and they traded Andrew Raycroft, and I believe they got Tuukka Rask. Like, they made some really, really good deals, and they never really drafted number 1 or number 2. Like the last time they had the number 1 pick, that was Joe Thornton. That did not impact them winning the cup or not winning the cup. That had nothing to do with it. And other than that, I think they had a 5th pick at one point, which was, I think it was Kessel. But, the Bruins winning the cup the way they did, doing an amazing job with drafting Pastrnak and Marchand and Bergeron and Lucic, and the list goes on and on, okay? That doesn't happen all that often. But what does happen more often, Jerry, is that teams will go through rebuilds and they'll end up drafting several players at 1 or several players at 2 or a player at 3 or 4, and they end up drafting either franchise players or really, really good important players. It happened for Washington, and they won a cup. It happened for Pittsburgh, and they won 3 cups. It happened for Chicago, and they won 3 cups. And even the Colorado Avalanche, Colorado had Nathan McKinnon at 1. Yep. They had Landeskog at 2. They had Makar at 4. They had Byram at 4. They had Rantanen at 10. I believe Nichushkin was a 10 in his draft year. And I believe they had Eric Johnson, who was a 1, albeit I think he was St. Louis. But, and they had Nazem Kadri, who I think was drafted 7th by the Leafs. But take a look at the amount of players that played on that Colorado team that were top 10 picks, whether it was with Colorado or with other teams. That's how you win. The Tampa Bay Lightning, yes, Braden Point was an unbelievable, draft. And I think he was 3rd round. And Kucherov was unbelievable at 56th or whatever he was. And Palat was unbelievable in the 7th round. But at the end of the day, and Vasilevsky was great at 17 or 18 or whatever he was. But at the end of the day, if they don't draft Stamkos 1 and Hedman 2, they don't win the cups.
Well, there you go. And to just expand on that, Tony, I took out a list. I try to come prepared. And I took out a list of the top 15, like centermen. And like you said, you go down the list. You got McDavid, Draisaitl, Matthews, McKinnon, Barkov, Crosby, Stamkos. It just keeps going. Even guys like Jack Eichel, you have Jenny Malkin, Jonathan Taves. These were all guys drafted top 3. I'm sorry, and of the 20 top, there's maybe 5 that were not drafted.
Yeah,
the top 3, and you mentioned them. Patrice Bergeron is one. Even a guy like Mika, I can't even pronounce his name.
Mika Zibanejad, who went 7th Ottawa, I think, or something like that.
There you go. So they're always top 10, Tony. To me, I don't understand. Yes, it could happen. You draft by Cole Caulfield, number 15, but that's, in French, we say c'est l'exception confirme la règle for what is
yes.
it, 10 years.
No, and they did a great job. Even Suzuki was drafted 13, and Caden Gooley was drafted 16. And you take a look at their draft years, all those 3 guys could end up being top 10 picks today, maybe even a lot better than that. But I really believe, I feel strongly about this, Jerry. You ready? What I'm going to tell you? If the Montreal Canadiens get 2 picks in the top 5 or the top 6 this year, okay? If they get the 2 picks, their pick and Florida's pick, the Montreal Canadiens are going to end up winning the Stanley Cup one day. I don't know when, but it's going to be in the next 6, 7, 8 years. They'll win the Stanley Cup. But for this to happen, the Canadiens, they need 2 picks in the top 5 this year. They really need 2 picks in the top 5. If they get 2 picks in the top, look, if they get Bedard at number 1, and they can get even the 6th pick or the 7th pick out, if they get Bedard, I'll almost guarantee you the Montreal Canadiens are going to win a Stanley Cup. And some people are watching right now, and then they're saying, well, yeah, but Connor McDavid didn't win a Stanley Cup. I heard the same thing about Nathan McKinnon, and then he won the Cup last year, and now everyone's had to stay quiet. I heard the same thing about Austin Matthews, and I hate to break it to you folks, but Austin Matthews is going to end up winning a Stanley Cup too. But
and what they do is they give you good hockey, Tony. I mean, you have a team that's solid for 6 or 7 years, not some team that you make up, like patching and getting free agents and hoping it clicks, and it rarely happens. And the other thing that people shouldn't have to remember, you have to be patient. If I look at the Devils, they drafted Jack Hughes, number 1.
Yeah.
And it took them some time. They weren't overnight successes.
They're amazing now.
They're a point-of player now. They're doing very well.
Yeah.
Edmund was not a success the first few years. His stats were pretty average, and then the third year he exploded.
Jerry, I love what you said, and they're going to be pleasant to watch, all right? In Edmonton, they haven't won a Stanley Cup yet, but there's worse things in life than going to watch Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl do their thing night in and night out. The Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup yet, but there's worse things in life than going to watch Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares. They are fun to watch. Say whatever you want. They're Toronto, and some people hate them, but they're fun to watch. It costs about $12 or $13 for a beer at the Bell Center. It costs about $6 for a bottle of water. It costs a couple of $100 for a ticket, and it costs $40 to park. I don't want to go there when I go there to watch the dump and chase. I do want to watch a number 1 line of Suzuki, Caulfield, and Connor Bedard. That's what I want to watch going forward. And you know what? I'll pay my ticket a couple $100, and I'll pay the parking $40, and I won't mind that it'll cost me $20 in gas to get there. And I won't even mind that I'm going to have to wait about 45 minutes to make my way into the building because there's only one entrance for a parking lot. And I won't even mind that I'm going to have to wait another 45 minutes in the garage because there's only one exit for that garage, which is the same one as the entrance. And there's an exit. It's okay because I want Connor Bedard. Jerry, you've been following and supporting for a long time, and I'm so happy that you followed me here onto the Sick Podcast. So thank you very much. Bonne fin 2022 et bonne année 2023. La santé, mon chum.
Pareillement, mon ami.
Merci beaucoup. There you have it. Jerry in Longueuil. Where else are we going? 1-888-585-SICK, 1-888-585-7425. It's a Sick Podcast, and I am Marinaro. Matt in Boucherville. What's going on, Matt?
It's going good. You?
Very good. Very, very good.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Are you ready to give up one of our 2 first-round picks for Alexis Lafrenière?
No.
No? Why?
No. Because I believe that all depends on where these picks are going to be, but I believe that anyone who's going to go in the top 5, let's just say these 2 picks are going to be in the top 5, okay? All right? Would you trade Connor Bedard for Alexis Lafrenière?
No.
Just say no. Okay.
But,
Would you? No, just say no. Would you trade Leo Carlsson for Alexis Lafrenière?
No, but
no.
I would trade Dvorsky for Lafrenière.
Okay, you would trade Dvorsky for Lafrenière. However, there's a couple of things we have to consider. And by the way, this is a great question, and I'm happy that we're having this conversation, okay? So this is what you need to consider, okay? Alexis Lafrenière has not been able to produce the expectations yet in the National Hockey League, correct? We know that. That's why the Rangers made him a healthy scratch, all right?
Yeah.
Now, his average with bonuses and his player bonuses, okay? This guy made $3.775 million in salary. It was 2.85 in player bonuses, and it was 925 in the cap hit, okay? Once his entry-level contract is up, okay, this guy's going to end up going to his second contract in the National Hockey League, all right? So away, you end up making millions. And if you don't get a short-term deal and you end up getting a long-term deal, but it seems unlikely the Rangers would sign him to a long-term deal, and he wouldn't be better off doing it either, because if you're going to, you have to deliver numbers first. Let's say they sign him to a short-term deal, a 2-year deal. And then after that, this guy's going to end up jumping and making big money. But Dvorsky, you said you trade Dvorsky for Lafrenière.
Yeah.
But this is what we know, okay? This is what we know. Number one, I'm going to give you an example on Dvorsky, okay? Dvorsky is a centerman. That's number one.
Yeah.
Lafrenière is a winger. That's number two. Dvorsky is 17 years old. Lafrenière is 21 years old. Dvorsky is going to be on an entry-level contract for the first 3 years. And by the time he's finished his contract, Lafrenière is probably going to be on his third contract, and he's probably going to be making $6 million or $7 million. So I'm going to answer. I like Alexis Lafrenière. I always have, and I take him on my team. But I'm not trading a top 5 pick in the 2023 draft for Alexis Lafrenière. And to those who say it's going to speed up the rebuild, okay, it's going to speed up the rebuild. Let's say you trade your best pick, you get Lafrenière. Lafrenière ends up playing on the top line with Suzuki and Caulfield. You better hope that Kirby Dach ends up being your number 2 centerman, and you better hope that he ends up picking up a point per game. Yeah. Because you just passed up on a centerman in the draft. Maybe.
Okay, so are you ready now to trade Anderson in the first 2024 for Lafrenière?
That's a good question. Am I ready to trade? I would trade Josh Anderson. I would trade Josh Anderson for Alexis Lafrenière. That's for sure. That I would do. How about the Canadians end up trading Sean Monahan, end up getting a third first-round pick in the draft, and I could use that pick to go out and add it to an Alexis Lafrenière trade. But I'm not trading the Canadians pick, and I'm not trading Florida's pick in 2023. In 2024,
maybe.
Hey, if I get 2 picks in the top 5 or top 6 in 2023, I'll trade a first-round pick in 2024. But I would think 2025 would even be better, because the Canadians by then will have turned the corner, and that's not going to end up being a top 10 pick. But I'm going to go back. I'm not trading any of the 2 picks they have this year, their pick or Florida's pick, for Alexis Lafrenière. I'm not doing that.
Okay. But it's a gamble, because Dvorsky is not guaranteed to produce, and Lafrenière can have a good upside offensively, and
he could, or he could come here and, like Jonathan Drouin, he could fold like a deck of cards, because the pressure would be just unbearable.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that too. We have to be careful here in Quebec. We always get excited. I want Gut Chez Nous on the Montreal Canadiens too. But sometimes when they come in the prime of their career, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Thanks for calling, man. I enjoyed this conversation. Hey, just my opinion.
Thank you.
Doesn't make it right. That's my opinion. That's the way I see it. Sammy and Yellow at Master Control. Can you bring up a couple of questions? That's it for the calls for now. I want to get to a couple of questions. Can we do that? Matthew Slinky. Never have I ever seen a group of veteran forwards struggle that bad to produce offensively. I wonder which veteran will get a promotion next game. Well, that's because some of these veteran forwards, they already know that the end is near, and they're going to be gone by the month of March. Next. Gabriel Miron. Do you believe that players like Josh Anderson or Yoel Armia could have their contracts bought out? Armia, maybe. Anderson, no, but I don't think they're going to go down that road. They're going to end up trading both players eventually. Next. Paul Surratt, this rebuild is in serious trouble, in my opinion. Gouli, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Dak, and then Zip. There's no quality depth until we see Beck, Roy, and maybe Slavkovsky. Paul, that's why we got to hope that they lose as many games as possible between now and the end of the year. Because if they get 2 picks in the top 5, the rebuild's not in trouble. The rebuild has just been finalized, and then you can move on to the next step, which is going to be adding to the team. You don't have to continue rebuilding after that. At least I don't think so. You can go out. You can even acquire a couple of players here and there. You can make trades, maybe even acquire a free agent if you want. You can try and speed it up that way. I think if you have 2 picks in the top 5 in 2023, I think you're on your way. Away par là. Let's go. Why don't we do this? We'll take one more question. Tony Slav is getting better, methinks. He's taking steps, more physical. He may be realizing how to play with his body a bit. Agree or disagree? I thought he had a better game tonight than he had yesterday. I do believe they made a big mistake and they should have sent him to the World Juniors. That's my opinion. He has, I think, 0 points in his last 7 games, and he's like -2, and he's got like 3 shots, or whatever it is. He had 5 hits in the game last night. I want him to have more offensive confidence. I don't want him to use his body as for that to be the be-all, end-all. I want him to score goals. I want him to pick up assists. I want him to pick up points. That's what I want him to do. I'm Marinaro, and that clip you just watched is from our most recent episode of the Sick Podcast. Once again, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free, and you'll be notified when we go live. I'm Marinaro. Tell your friends about it. This podcast, like me, is pretty sick.